Indigenous people have lived on the land known as British Columbia for more than 10,000 years, where they developed their own societies, cultures, unique dialects, and traditional lands. Today, there are 198 distinct First Nations located throughout BC with more than 30 different languages and close to 60 dialects. I come from Homalco First Nation, traditionally known as the people of fast-running waters, with traditional lands located along Butte Inlet. As many Indigenous nations alike, Homalco people have suffered the effects of colonialism and were forced to move from their traditional lands to live in the modern world. Indigenous communities within BC are turning to an industry known as Indigenous tourism, where Indigenous people are directly involved through control and/or by having their culture serve as the essence of a tourist attraction. This industry is a leading economic driver for communities within BC and can be seen as a gateway to truth and reconciliation by teaching and inviting Indigenous and non-Indigenous people to learn and be part of the culture and allow for cross-cultural interactions while promoting a deeper understanding. Indigenous Tourism BC's 2018 to 2019 action plan seeks to cultivate relationships, inspire visitors, activate experience development, and advocate Indigenous tourism. Currently, 1 in 3 visitors to British Columbia are seeking an authentic Indigenous experience. And with tourism as a leading force, there are approximately 21 million overnight visitors. These visitors are contributing $17 billion in revenue annually to the provincial economy. In 2016, it was estimated that there were 401 Indigenous tourism-related businesses generating $705 million indirect gross domestic output, creating 7,400 full-time jobs. Tourism across the board faces one similar issue: a high demand but a low supply of workers, causing an intense labor shortage throughout BC. According to Go2HR, the Aboriginal labor population is growing 3 times faster than those of non-Aboriginal descent. This is a huge opportunity for Aboriginal youth to take hold of employment, in particular within Indigenous tourism operations. However, there are many underlying obstacles when it comes to Aboriginal youth, like staggering suicide rates, poor health, low levels of education, and high rates of unemployment. These facts are all interwoven with no one particular solution, but we're getting there. Nations need to get their youth involved in their culture to begin healing, as many households do not practice traditional songs and dances as an effect of the generational impacts of residential schools. I have felt this loss in connection to my own culture, as it was not entirely present growing up. I felt lost. It was not until 2018 when I worked for my nation's tourism operation, Homalco Wildlife Tours, where I learned about our history and developed a sense of pride. I strongly believe that if youth are presented a chance to learn about their culture through immersion, then a process of healing and purpose can begin to form. If there is a strong culture present, then there can be a strong sense of pride. Aboriginal communities have been and/or are in the works of utilizing the fast-growing Indigenous tourism sector as a way to grow community development by creating healthy relationships, community wellness, community stewardship, and community learning. This process of community economic development in Indigenous tourism will help to create jobs, economic diversity, allow for income, as well as an increase in services, amenities, and infrastructure, thus increasing land value. An example of a successful Indigenous tourism operation where youth were solely involved in the creation part is the short documentary film, Shift, filmed in Carcross, Yukon. Here, Aboriginal youth were employed to build an elite mountain bike destination, where they learned about the industry, their land, and were able to work on personal life skills with the support of one another. While building new ideas for a community, like a new tourism operation, it is important to seek community member input, in particular youth, to hear and understand their input. This approach is known as bottom-up in community development, where the voices of members are key. An important aspect of community wellness follows along with the First Nations Health Authority Wellness Wheel, by building a community up with children, youth, adults, and elders. Indigenous youth between the ages of 15 and 30 have immense potential to contribute to their communities and become the next generation of leaders. These new aspiring leaders are finding opportunities to be involved to make a difference, by joining youth councils, attending conferences, pursuing new educational opportunities, or taking the time to learn from elders. Indigenous businesses and communities in British Columbia will benefit from the Government of Canada's investment of over $2 million towards Aboriginal tourism. This support will help operators offer more authentic Indigenous tourism experiences for visitors that come to BC. Since 2002, the Indigenous tourism sector has grown by more than 66%. So, how can we support Indigenous youth to get them interested in tourism? Well, nations can provide opportunities for youth to learn dances, songs, and stories to restore a sense of cultural pride that may be absent. They can create safe places to learn from other youths and share each other's stories to create a community. They can listen to the stories from successful youth. They can also provide physical fitness centers to support good health and aid in mental and emotional support to take care of one's whole well-being. And the biggest thing is to get excited about the possibilities that are emerging within Indigenous tourism. By investing money into Indigenous youth, we can provide incentives such as money for participating in classes and conferences, as well as money for training, mentoring from older youth, and skill development in tourism-related fields. Overall, we need to immerse youth into their culture to create a sense of pride. Indigenous nations in BC need to invest in creating a safe place for their youth to be part of something and to get them involved with a voice in their community development, thus creating a strong sense of pride, confidence in self, and relationship building with friends in an area for love and support. Indigenous tourism is a gateway to truth and reconciliation. Our culture is not lost. So be proud and educate others, because we are the youth that will make the change.